In the first episode, we had multiple threads leading to different storylines that could take place, setting up various things that could happen, including, and not limited to, brainwashing of all the students, raising an army against our level 5 bitty bitty, as well as also bringing back anyone from the past, especially those suffering from multiple trips to the hospital. But we have spent far too long not getting an interaction between all 4 of them, so what's stopping us? Let's get into the episode. For a second, I wondered if that was Last Order, but with that vignette around the side, is it just a young Misaka? And people suffering from muscular dystrophy. So, getting back into the rehabilitation and treatment that people have needed. And what's with the observation deck for rehabilitation like that? I mean, in the moment it is a victory, yeah. And there are many things and ailments which are heavily unfair. Is this sparking the hope? It's we can create so many treatments for people like that. And we know how that ended. So, using that kind of naivety to entrust the trust of a child and do some very questionable experiments in the future. There's more than just the bear in that bed. Is the dorm mother going to have to be informed? But introducing another character, one that didn't seem so approachable. Another victim of science, perhaps? And considering it did get back into earlier experiments and using her as a baseline test, we're going to get more of an experience with the other sisters. Kind of like in the other season of Railgun. And the tension with Dharma, yes. The actual battles where they all get involved and work together is thoroughly enjoyable. Hopefully she has a broken nose or a black eye. Then you could have asked. Now, with all of the mysterious comings and goings of this city, all the dangers that are present. How many signs do they have to, or how many forms they have to sign to have proper field trips? You can never really dent her optimism when it comes to spending time with her, can you? Maybe with her powers she can just have a constant barrier, like taser effect surrounding her. She'd soon give up after several thousand volts. I'd extend that. Any and all physical contact is barred. And yeah, if her ability is teleporting, you do want to have an inbuilt map of the place so you don't accidentally go inside of a wall. And is that setting up? Why are they all staring at the ground like they're looking for something? That one might be a bit of a tight squeeze. Just teleport. Someone's not tidying up after themselves. So there is some sort of treasure map that they're following. How much is on it? So everyone's just walking around, eyes glued to the floor, in the search of some just free money. So it's just someone very altruistic and trying to spread the wealth. So, is it another way to kind of entrap people into some sort of odd game? This does, on the outset seem like a harmless issue compared to some of the other stuff, but the story behind it might unveil some things. I mean, sure, some of it is like a fair amount of money, but at the same time, not so much that I'd put myself in danger for it. Going to skill out territory. She just really wants to start working. But who backs out of an alleyway like that? You do one search and declare it's not worth it. Okay, she's backing out of the alley a little more. We're learning some things about her that might never have needed saying. How much of a bloodhound is she? Ah. Actually having them find some of the other... I'm guessing one of the various sisters, clones of her. How many? Her nose is impressive. Maybe going on all fours is actually worth it. You know, not having abilities but being able to sniff out debit cards. Maybe there's like a slight perfume or aftershave on the envelopes. That's how she's finding it. Yeah, you probably should, but find out how much is on each of them first and you give in the lower ones. What a fun activity to have with all your friends. And just... Oh, it was a girl doing it. Well, we got a bit more information about who it was, but also having such a loud conversation where you just happen to walk by and hear it. Maybe it's a bunch of people leaving them all around at the same time, that's why there's so many. You can't just declare, well, there was no one in the alleyway with us, so must be doing it by herself. I wonder if there's anything like in the background that we can see and learn. This also seems like something people with too much time and money would do. Maybe we just see what Mr. Beast has done recently. If these cards have any kind of tracking mechanism in them, having so many on a person. And wanting to keep them all. That was her mistake. Right, okay, I get it now. She saw a doppelganger. I'm kind of shocked that no one had really pointed out multiple versions of the Level 5 wandering around. They Good save. But why can we not hear any water? I guess... How many of those recordings does she just have? We may not want to know the answer. And there's a collection. Oh no. Several petabytes of it, I'm guessing. She records all night long in case there's any sleep talking as well. She gives off the same kind of uninterested energy like the science girl in Shimonetta. Well, yeah, in case she did have a way of alerting people, fast, quick acting on them, on their part, but... Well, yeah, you came at the end of the day. Yeah. Well, the whole situation's a bit strange, them leaving the... Why didn't none of you think of that possibility in the first place? But someone walking around leaving envelopes full of, well, essentially cash around. You think there's nothing else going on? Well, you probably have good instincts. Is that another prestigious school? Try not to make any sudden movements or upset them. In any field. That's kind of good. But can you just make up a criteria? It's like, yeah, I'm an expert in... You don't need to be an expert detective to figure out these things. Take a few more steps back. Because? Is he now a... Well, he's not as desiccated as I thought he would be. I think it would be cool if she was just like a scarecrow, you know, from Batman, using their own fear against them rather than actually having any abilities. Okay. That's kind of cool. Just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but... Can you use some sort of medium in between so you don't have to... You touch them, because that would be a terrifying level up to that skill. Yeah, you grabbed her, but you did grab her wrists that I think were covered, I can't remember. Do you need to... Well, here's a visible application of it for you. You can't just brush it off. Now it's if you touch anything, you're wondering, oh, was it her? Maybe coming here for the envelopes wasn't quite worth it. Just start swinging. You know, as an introduction to... Really? The reverberation from hitting that made you drop it? Okay. But as an introduction to a character who we briefly saw right at the beginning, at least it's not him losing his glasses and having to struggle on the floor. I would guess it would be an easy way of building up an army, because they'd be too afraid to go against you. Oh, if you do what I say, you won't die. Well, just stop her lowering her hand. That one was just, you made him wet himself. Through nothing but intimidation and fear. You don't want to give away your tricks all too easily. At this point, I'm not even sure. It could be an elaborate ruse. She is actually a copy. The original's still back in the testing facility. But for a character to know about the others, outside of, like, Tomer, now what really matters is what her next few words are, what she thinks of the sisters in this experiment, and how much she knows. I do like how my kind of guess of she's not actually killing them. It's all just an act. An incredibly convincing act. But once they've washed the feces from their trousers, do you think they're going to change their ways? I don't know how I feel about having a tea party with myself. As a way of getting us more entwined with the sisters' storyline, with the other experiments. Pretty good way to get us focused on it again. Remember that flashback? You've known each other for years, although you probably haven't really spoken that much. But one thing I really appreciate is that she may have super advanced, really powerful abilities. Or none, but it doesn't matter. She can utilise other tool sets. And has a little fun with it along the way. What are you crying for? It was just a joke. And honestly, spending your entire day on your hands and knees scrolling through back alleys trying to find an envelope that may or may not contain a small amount of money, I'm sure for some is actually worthwhile, but for the amount of energy expended, me personally, don't think it's worth it. And maybe these debit cards left around are actually trying to find their ways into the hands of the sisters, considering we've seen in the past they do spend a lot of the times kind of in the shadows and alleys. Admittedly, some were being attacked and killed by Accelerator, but hopefully that would have stopped. He's turned a new leaf. With all of this intrigue and kind of character development, it leaves me pondering for the future for the next episode. So really, I just want to get into it, and luckily for you, there's going to be another right away. If you enjoyed this one, let me know. Leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe if you think I did a good job. But more than anything, take care of yourself, so I can see you in the next episode. My patrons are the tranquilizer dart that makes my threats of death seem almost real. If you would like to add an air of darkness to my channel, consider joining onto my Patreon as well. And there, alongside Sal, Electrican, Tafia, Noku, Raywin, Shiwan, Mecha, Matt, Stinsfire, Jennifer Rojas, Burley, 1234W, Kite, Saltitron, Cardboard, Dark Shadow, 7899, Maurizio Lasano, and everyone else, we may be able to convince at least someone that I'm not just a moron on the internet.